So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the slice forehand further, and yeah, the slice forehand is a shot that we don't use that often, uh, but we do use it, and when you hit a slice forehand, you're mainly trying to uh, get the ball back into play. So you might just get your racket to the ball, and and put the ball up in like a lob. So you put a bit of backspin on the ball and you just get into it and up it goes. Keep yourself in the point. Try to get it deep. Um, the other time we use a slice forehand is when we want to approach the net. So uh, so basically when you hit backspin on the ball wants to float. So when you think about topspin, the ball wants to come down. When you hit slice, the ball's spinning backwards. The ball wants to go up. It's all to do with air pressure on the ball, and the air pressure as it's spinning pushes it down for topspin, pushes it up for slice. Um, with a slice, you could put a bit of side spin on it, and the ball will curve sideways. So same thing. The ball pressure, the wind pressure, is pushing against the ball and making it move sideways. Um, but generally, because it's got the backspin still on it, it's floating. So that's why we don't hit a slice. It's not a power shot. It's you use it. You use the slice for its effectiveness. So your racket speed is determined by what you're trying to do to the ball. So if you're trying to keep a ball in play, you might float it slow, and if you hit the ball deep, and they don't sort of try to take it on the full on you, then they can't do a lot against you because you've hit the ball deep. They can't hit angle against you. But the slice is a shot that you can sort of hit a little flatter, and and like a volley kind of slice. So you sort of you 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 punch into it a little bit. You firm your hands when you hit that slice at contact, and the ball travels closer to a straight line, but like it's a downhill type of ramp, and you'd call it a decline plane technically, but it's just almost a straight line, but just tapering down. And that's the flight of the ball. The flight of the ball is so important when you hit a slice. Really important. It's the number one. I'll give it the number one thing that you have to be thinking in your mind about. The result of the ball. Like so, you step up, you slice the board deep. It's pretty much a straight. It's almost flat. Ball bounces, stays down low. You come into the net. Now they've got to hit a shot that's low and sort of moving a bit quicker. It's skidding low, and it's hard to pass you because, it's especially if you can sort of get them stretching for it a little. So, so it's a useful shot. You know what I mean? So and it's quite a consistent shot. When you hit a slice, they don't. I think it's because it's kind of a bit of an open racket face, and you're swinging a bit slower. They're safe. They're safe. It's safer to hit a slice. The problem is because it's travelling slower in the air, gives your opponent an opportunity to get their feet in position and really sock the ball back to you. So that's why you got to pick your moment. So if just if you've got an easy shot to you, maybe the better option is to get your feet in position and drive the ball down the court. But if you've got an opponent that doesn't really like you coming at him, or her, and you might think, okay, well, I'm going to chip and charge a bit, so I'm going to, punch that ball with a bit of underspin, close to the baseline, I'm going to come in and say, try to pass me or go over the top of me. If I'm encouraging you to go over the top of me, I might be able to step back and hit some smashes away. So that's when you use the slice forehand. And as I said, the chip and charge is a good return. So it's you've got no backswing. So when you hit a return of serve, you want to not have a large backswing. So 9 times out of 10, right? There is an exception to that, and that is like when you see these professional tennis players standing 4 meters behind the baseline. So by the time the ball's travelling to them, the ball's slowed up a little bit, so they get a full swing at it. But they're very vulnerable to a wide serve ace. So if you stand all the way back, yeah, you might, if they do that against you, you should be trying to serve wide serves and trying to ace them. But generally what you do when you stand to return serve, you stand sort of it's kind of close to the baseline, and you shorten your backswing. So you don't hit a big backswing, because you hit a big backswing, the ball gets behind you. So if you take your short backswing, you shorten it up, then you can keep your follow through, but lose the backswing. So it's all in the follow through. The follow through is giving you the spin. So if you want to hit top spin or slice, then the follow through is what's given that to you. Or you could punch it a little and it's maybe a bit flat, or punch it with a little bit of cut on it, a little bit of slice on it. That might be an effective way just to get the point started. And because sometimes you can just get the ball back into play and then work your point, construct your point, but yeah, anyway, so shorten your backswing when you return serve, or stand back and swing at it. Obviously, when you get a second serve, maybe you can have a full swing at that. So generally what you do is, if the ball's easy and you've got all the time in the world to hit it, take a big swing at it. But if the ball's coming at you fast, then shorten your backswing, but keep your follow through. Don't lose your follow through. Your follow through is gonna hit the spin, put the spin on the ball. So you can get rid of the backswing, the backswing, but you can't get rid of your follow through. And if you do get rid of your follow through, you're going to paddle the ball. And if you paddle the ball, you've got to paddle it deep or away from them, or you've got to paddle it possibly high. Get the ball up high if you're going to float it. So high and deep and away from them. The only other forehand I can think of is a half volley forehand. So a half volley is most of the time I hit a half volley. There's 2 ways I'd hit a half volley. Well, one is hold a sort of a bit of a continental grip. Well, that's the hammer grip, and shorten your backswing, shorten your follow through. And so you still got a backswing and you still got a follow through, but they're not big, right? And you tend to stay down with it. It's like you bend your knees and you just hit through the ball. And you're not trying to hit the cover of this one. You're just trying to push it. You're trying to push it to the open court, away from your opponent, generally deep, So, but, a half volley, you might go for a bit of an angle on it because you're not swinging real fast. So you can just push that ball where, the aim is to get your opponent running across the court for it. And the next step after the half volley is to follow it into the net. So if you're going to hit a half volley, you're not really hitting a half volley to then get back. You're hitting a half volley as an approach shot and get in there. and then try to put it away on the next point, or at least keep your opponent on the run with that next volley. The only other half volley there is, is to hit like a Western forehand half volley, where the ball's got deep. It's hit on the bounced on the baseline, and when it bounced on the baseline, you hit like a lasso type of forehand, and as it's bouncing, you're ripping up on the ball, and that's an effective shot actually. Like, so when they've really hit a good one to you, instead of trying to blast through it, just lasso, like just brush up against the back of the ball and whip up, and quite often you'll spin the ball a lot and get a pretty good result of the ball. Maybe it's almost like a topspin lob technique. So, topspin lob is a really effective forehand, and if you the follow through is really important because it's topspin, but the other there's two type of follow throughs. It's a short little fan follow through, like a little rainbow, but quick and little. And then there's the lasso forehand, which is traveling up high over your head and leaning back. So if you lean back rather than leaning forwards on a topspin lob, it just seems to work a little better. Maybe the racket face stays open a little, and you don't, with a topspin lob, you're not trying to put your body weight into the ball. You want that ball up over your opponent's head and then bouncing and then running away from your opponent. So yeah, either a short little follow through. It may more so if you're leaning forwards into it, the shorter one works better. And if you're not going to lean into it, the lasso forehand works better for a topspin lob. And the only other type of lob forehand would be just sort of, you can hit a slice, you put a little bit of cut on that slice, backspin on that slice lob, or you can hit just flat, just sort of flattish. But when you hit flat, you just swing slowly into it, just a medium swing, put the ball up into the air. Very defensive way to play, especially when they've just hit a smash against you. You might play your forehand in that way. What else? Other type of forehands is there's the off forehand, or the inside outside forehand, in out forehand. And the off forehand is it's an attacking shot. You get to step around your backhand and thump the ball down the court, and it should be practiced and it should be used. And generally the off forehand is going to be a Western type of grip. It's not really going to be the Eastern or the Continental, but it could be an Eastern, but generally Western.